Hello and welcome to Ralph's house. Yes, well finally I got around to painting my son's bedroom door. Not the easiest thing in the world. I think really in an ideal world I'd like to put these in for stripping, but it just wasn't really feasible. I was a bit worried that they might disintegrate if they were stripped, but as luck would have it, I was able to sand these down with some fairly coarse sandpaper. Then went out and some finer stuff, put a coat of undercoat on it and acrylic silk, and it's come up great actually. Yeah, so that's that done. But not to rest on my laurels, also did this one too. Looks great, isn't it? Look, that little key scutcheon. Yeah, that's the one room, which is the front bedroom, that has a lock. And you have to kind of reason this out. This is 1930s, so one assumes that the parents would be in this room, so they don't want people walking in on them. What do you think? I think so. Or just one room, I don't know, that they can keep secure. Coming up to Christmas, who knows? Yeah, so that's Ralph's house. And I'm just going to, talk less about Ralph's house for the first 5 minutes, and more about one of my pet hates, and that is TV licensing. And, I'll tell you for why. I haven't actually watched television in 18 years, and I haven't missed it. And I really come to the conclusion that the golden age of television, and we're talking about Morecambe and Wise and all those big shows that were so popular, and when everybody sat around the television, that era has gone. And I think when Television Centre closed and they moved to their new location, and the world really had changed. And of course this present generation do not consume TV as much as the older generation. And for me, I much prefer YouTube. I can pick and choose what I want. And of course I've got lots of DVDs that I can watch if I want to watch anything. What was I watching recently? I was watching Moody and Peg, made in 1974. For anybody who's old enough to remember that. Really enjoyed it. Great to watch it. Judy Cornwell, yes. And a feel-good series, The Whole of the Waltons. I don't know when I'll get around to watching that. But the point is, I don't watch TV. And for me, it can be a bit of a problem. They constantly write to me. And I suppose, arguably, I could go on the website and tell them I do not need a TV set. But you see, I do not need a TV licence. But that then means I have to fill in my details. And I really don't like my details being shared with private companies, which TV licensing is because it's run by Capita. So as I haven't committed a crime, I don't have a TV set, I just don't respond to any of it. And I'm not being awkward. It just, for me, it's the only solution. They will not go away. But there you go. So I have at least 2 TV sets in the house, but I don't watch anything that's live. I really don't. So that's the end of my rant, I suppose, with TV licensing. There's plenty on YouTube you can watch. But I just refuse to be drawn into it, and I'm polite with them at the door, in as much as I can be. But if they ask me too much, I'll say, no, I am the occupier, as you've written to me, and if you need to know any more, just go down the electoral register and find out, because I'm not going to waste my time. And I really don't trust private companies with data at all. Very careful where I leave that kind of information, you know what I mean? So that was my early morning rant about TV licensing. But don't the doors look good? This is Ralph's house. I've also been painting the stairs. This is a grey undercoat. And I'll probably have to smooth that out a bit more, put another coat on there. That's where it's had wear over the years, obviously. And rather than fitting a stair carpet, which I could have done, I'm not over keen on them because they tend to get very slippery on this front edge. And the last place I lived at, I did go down the stairs on my back side, Lucky didn't hurt myself seriously, but I was pretty bruised for a few days. So I'm going to try and avoid that. So I'm going to keep things very simple. Paint them all with this mid-grey. And these are stair treads. You can buy these in packs for, you can get 15 of them for something like £20, something like that. And if I wanted to later, I could carpet the whole stairs, but I don't want to. This just keeps the noise down, and it makes them so much easier to keep clean. Anyway, today, this is the ceiling at the top of the landing, and that's not, well, this bit here isn't the easiest to get to because you got such a jump. So what I'm going to do, I think, is put a set of steps there and run a board across, and just be careful, you know. But what I've got to do is get all this paper off here. I don't know when that was put up, but it was some years ago. And there's a few minor cracks in it. I've got a big chunk there that my father filled up with polyfiller, and not very well, it has to be said. Same around the edge, can you see there? Between those bits of wood, it's all full of podge. That's what I call it. So, you know, that wants PVA, as Phil next door, he'd be pleased to hear that. And some bonding plaster to get a good firm fixing on there. Just keep it below the surface, then just come across with some polyfiller and smooth that out. Do it sort of nice. So yeah, I need to get all this paper off the ceiling and prepare that for lining, because to be honest, it's the worst job on this landing is doing this ceiling. It has got to be done, and the only way to do that is to get the old paper off. I went to B&Q last night and bought a couple of 40-metre rolls of lining paper. It's not the really heavy lining paper, it's about 1,000 grade, but you know, that'll be alright, it'll be okay for a ceiling. But 40 metres, that should be enough to do everything, do all the walls. So I think I will, although I have painted this one, I think I probably will still line it, just to get a smoother finish. That'll be interesting, because I've got a little narrow strip down there. Probably have to piece that one in separately, to be honest. Yeah, so that's kind of where we are. So if I can get that done, also need to look at this, because this is hardboard. It might be salvageable. Certainly not the paper on it, that's got to go. But if not, I'm going to have to buy a sheet hardboard for that, or ideally plasterboard, I suppose. But I suppose hardboard will do, as long as it's all papered and done properly. Yeah, but as always, when you take this paper off this ceiling, it tends to leave gaps up in these corners, which, you know, I'll have to fill. But that's it, that's what I'm doing today. I'm pulling the paper off the ceiling. Technique with it is get your scraper under it. You can move quite away with the scraper, get the top layer off, that's the main thing. Get this outer skin off. Once you've got the outer skin off, you can soak what's underneath and it will come off easy. So that'll be the ceilings. Papering it is going to be fun, isn't it? You know, especially this first strip, because I'm going to have to start there, work my way across. And there's also a point there where there was an old light fitting. So once I've got this paper off, I want to get a sander on that and really get that nice and smooth. So it'll just disappear then. Yep, so that's my job today. And also start unbolting this stair lift. That's getting to be a bit of a priority now, because I really need to get in on this edge. And if I'm going to paper, you know, that's going to be in the way, isn't it? And then once it's all done, it's all painted, I can put that stair lift back. But like I say, I can't even finish these stairs really until I've got this off, because they're just in the way. Look, you see the old carpet underneath. My brother-in-law and I, we did have a go at trying to get this off without much success. But it's got to come off, so we're going to have to find a way of doing it. Even have to replace the bolts with new ones or grind the old ones off. Whatever, but it's coming off. Now, you might have to cast your mind back. But some months ago, I bought an old carpenter's chest from Richard Gillett, who runs the tool store on Bedworth Market. Tuesdays, Fridays and Saturdays, just letting you know. Anyway, it was covered in paint, and I don't think anybody quite saw it the way I did. But look now. Rosewood stain. And I've got a couple of bags of upholstery nails to go all the way around the edge, because I'm going to make a sponge seat for it with a leather covering on it. That looked fabulous. And it was made in 1932, the same year this house was built. So, very apt, don't you think? Also this week, I'm out here in the porch, and I just think it's, you know, it's great I've painted the front door black, that looks good. I don't like the fact that these walls have been glossed or silk painted. I don't know what I'm going to do with those. I think the chances are I'll probably chip the paint away and render it, or put a, I don't know, board it or something. Do something with it so it looks better than it is. But I've also been tackling these storm doors, which are now at the end of their life. There's no doubt about that. But I don't really want to, well, cost is another matter. You'll be looking about £2,000 to replace storm doors like these with plastic white UPVC. It just seems overpriced for what it is, and it doesn't look that great. And also the front door is going to vanish behind them. So I haven't decided what I'm going to replace them with. And to be honest, I'm looking on Facebook Marketplace until I see something that inspires me. But in the meantime, I'm rubbing these down, and the top half I've already had a go at. It's really just to keep the you know, the damp and the rain out over the winter. I'm not saying these are going to be warm, they won't be. But there you go. So that's another job I've been doing. Need to get all the paper off this one, because if you look, you see where the old light shade was, where the light fitting was, and then I can sand that smooth. I can also work on repairing this section. There's a big dent in that, but I can do that. I can make a piece of plywood or cardboard to the profile of that, so I can actually move it across and get some continuity, and then just sand it and smooth it, and it'll all vanish. And then we'll finish up to reflect this lovely stained glass window, and I've got some 1930s clamshell lights to go on there on each side, so I shall get those wired in as well, which would be nice, because at the moment I can't put a light on when I come in. So that means we'll have moved down the stairs, we'll be on the ground floor, and then I can start tackling the front room. Not that I'm missing it at the moment, but I'm trying to do all the external work. So, you know, get the porch doors done, get the front door done. I've done that. Get all the woodwork done in this hallway, because I imagine it'll get a little bit chilly towards winter. And so I've got nothing to do outside. That's the main thing. Because of course I can put the heating on with a brand new central heating system we've got here, and get all that done. So that's it really from Raoul's house today. Slow but sure progress, but just thought I'd give you an insight into what I'm doing. And the fence, I'm going to have to put it off for about a month, because it has been very hot lately, and I think for me to do it in a day might be a bit of a push, but perhaps with help from my brother-in-law when he's not so busy. This time of year he's a landscape gardener, of course, and the grass keeps growing and the bushes keep growing, so he's flat out. So it's really waiting for a sort of a quiet patch in the year, and then it can come over and then perhaps help me put this fence up. I shall get in all the posts and panels, and with help from James next door. So that's it from Raoul's house today. Thank you for watching. Thumbs up, thumbs down, and leave a comment if you've got any thoughts about what you do with this hallway. Always welcome. Got plenty of woodwork to paint, haven't I? Yeah. See you in the next one. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe.